Welcome to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner presentation on Domain 2, Security and Compliance. This domain makes up 30% of the exam, the largest portion, and focuses on securing the AWS cloud. We'll cover the shared responsibility model, security and compliance concepts, access management, and security resources, ensuring you're ready for the exam. Let's start with an overview. Domain 2 tests your understanding of AWS's security model, compliance tools, and access controls. Security is paramount in the cloud, and AWS shares responsibilities with customers to ensure a robust environment. The exam expects you to know who handles what, how services protect data, and where to find compliance resources. We'll dive into each area with detailed explanations, real-world examples, and exam tips to help you succeed. First, the AWS Shared Responsibility Model. This model clearly defines security roles. AWS manages security of the cloud, covering physical infrastructure like data centers, servers, and networking hardware. For example, AWS secures its facilities with biometric access and 24/7 monitoring. Customers handle security in the cloud, such as configuring applications, encrypting data, and managing access. Responsibilities vary by service. With Amazon EC2, you secure the operating system, patch software, and configure firewalls. With Amazon RDS, AWS handles database patches and backups, but you set up user permissions. For AWS Lambda, a serverless service, AWS manages the runtime environment, leaving you to secure your code. The exam frequently tests these distinctions, so memorize this: AWS secures the infrastructure, you secure your data and configurations. A common question might ask who manages EC2 instance patching. You do, not AWS. Let's expand on this with an example. Imagine a retail company using EC2 for a web app and RDS for customer data. AWS ensures the physical servers are secure, but the company must update the EC2 operating system and restrict RDS access to authorized users. For Lambda, if they run a payment processing function, they must secure the code but not the underlying platform. Understanding these nuances is critical, as the exam may present scenarios where you choose the correct responsibility for a service. Next, security, governance, and compliance concepts. Encryption is vital for protecting data. Data in transit, like API calls or web traffic, uses HTTPS to prevent interception. Data at rest, such as files in Amazon S3 or databases, should use server-side encryption with AWS Key Management Service, KMS. For example, a healthcare app storing patient records in S3 can enable encryption to meet HIPAA requirements. AWS Artifact provides compliance reports, like SOC2 or PCI DSS, which you can download to verify AWS's compliance for audits. This is crucial for regulated industries, and the exam often asks where to find these reports. Always choose AWS Artifact over distractors like CloudWatch. AWS offers robust security services. Amazon Inspector scans EC2 instances for vulnerabilities, such as outdated software. AWS Security Hub centralizes alerts from services like GuardDuty, giving a unified view of threats. Amazon GuardDuty uses machine learning to detect anomalies, like unusual API calls from a compromised account. AWS Shield protects against DDoS attacks, essential for public websites. For example, an e-commerce site can use Shield to stay online during a traffic surge. Monitoring tools are equally important. Amazon CloudWatch tracks performance metrics, like CPU usage. AWS CloudTrail logs API activity, showing who accessed an S3 bucket. AWS Config tracks configuration changes, like altered security groups. A real-world case, a financial firm uses CloudTrail to audit who modified a database, ensuring compliance with regulations. The exam may ask you to pick the right tool: GuardDuty for threats, CloudTrail for audits, Config for configurations. Let's dive deeper into compliance. Different industries have unique needs. For instance, a European bank must comply with GDPR, which AWS supports through artifact reports and services like KMS for encryption. The exam might ask how to verify GDPR compliance, point to artifact. You should also know where to find logs. CloudTrail logs are stored in S3, and CloudWatch logs store performance data. Understanding log locations and service purposes helps you answer questions like, which service tracks user actions? CloudTrail. Now, access management. AWS Identity and Access Management, IAM, is the backbone of access control. You create users, groups, and policies to define permissions. For example, a marketing team group might have read-only S3 access, while developers get EC2 control. The principle of least privilege ensures minimal access. Don't give a user admin rights for a single task. Protecting the root user is critical. Enable multi-factor authentication, MFA, to add a second layer, like a phone app code. AWS IAM Identity Center provides single sign-on, letting users log in once for multiple accounts. For credentials, AWS Secrets Manager stores sensitive data, like database passwords, and AWS Systems Manager Parameter Store handles configuration data, like API keys. A scenario: a company uses Secrets Manager to securely share database credentials among developers. The exam tests MFA, least privilege, and IAM roles, so know that only the root user can perform certain tasks, like changing billing settings. Let's explore IAM further. Cross-account IAM roles allow secure access between accounts. For instance, a dev account can assume a role to access a production S3 bucket without sharing credentials. Federated identity, via IAM Identity Center, lets users log in with corporate credentials, like Microsoft Active Directory. The exam might ask about authentication methods. Options include MFA, roles, or federation. Another tip: custom policies let you fine-tune permissions, like allowing only specific S3 actions, while managed policies are AWS predefined for common use cases. Now, security components and resources. Security groups control traffic to EC2 instances, like allowing only HTTP port 80. Network ACLS adds subnet-level security in a virtual private cloud or VPC. AWS WAF protects web apps from attacks like SQL injection. For example, a blog platform can use WAF to block malicious requests. AWS Marketplace offers third-party tools, like firewalls or antivirus software. The AWS Security Center, Security Blog, and Knowledge Center provide guidance, while AWS Trusted Advisor flags issues, like open ports or unused IAM users. A practical case: Trusted Advisor alerts you to disable an unused access key, reducing risk. The exam may ask where to find security advice. Choose Trusted Advisor or the Security Blog. For exam prep, practice IAM in the AWS free tier. Create a user, assign a policy, and enable MFA to understand access control. Test security groups by launching an EC2 instance and restricting traffic. Review AWS Artifact for compliance reports and the Security Blog for updates. Expect questions like, which service detects DDoS attacks? Shield, or the where are compliance reports found? Artifact. The exam's 50 scored questions include multiple choice and multiple response types, so read carefully to avoid distractors like CloudWatch for compliance. Key takeaways: the shared responsibility model splits duties, AWS secures infrastructure, you secure configurations. Encryption, Artifact, and services like Guard Duty ensure compliance and protection. IAM enforces access control with least privilege and MFA. AWS provides robust security tools and resources like Trusted Advisor. Focus on service roles and compliance for the exam. A final tip: the exam's compensatory scoring means you only need an overall 700 out of 1000. Guess on tough questions, as there's no penalty. Explore the AWS Security Center, and feel free to ask questions. That's our extended overview of Domain 2, Security and Compliance. Thank you, and best of luck with your AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the free Udemy courses in the description. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.